friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video. I want to talk about the square between Mercury and Mars in a composite chart. So, Mars is two people's ego energy, how they go forward with things, how they use their aggression or their assertiveness, how does that combine? And Mercury is our thought processes and how we rationalize information and file and take in our information, communication, our ideas, our immediate perceptions about our environment, and also represents the day-to-day, the habit patterns on a day-to-day basis, the details of our lives. How do we orient ourselves, when it comes to when do we brush our teeth, when do we get to work, which way do we get dressed, how do we dry ourselves off after the shower, that kind of thing. That's all Mercury, the details things. So when these two are in a square aspect, in a composite chart, this presents some issues for a couple. Because we have two people that are basically at war about the details of their lives. So we can see a great deal of arguing over minutia and bullcrap a lot with this particular square. They can get into a habit of arguing, a habit of bringing everything up to be griped about. And so it's a very divisive aspect to have, because Mercury is the day-to-day minutia and the patterns of our lives. And so when we have Mars, which is the egos of the two people and the need to win and to be right in an aspect of conflict, this is not doing anything to put a couple in a place where they're willing to let things go. So they tend to argue about every little thing. It's combative communication is what you can just think of in a nutshell. Combative communication with this particular square. There's a lot of griping. There's a lot of bitching. There's a lot of communicating back and forth about how you should do this or how you should do that, or you stayed in the shower too long, or it drives me crazy when you put the fork in your mouth and you turn it around and you drag it back behind your teeth and it makes this squeaking sound. I just want to take it and I want to stick it in your eye. And it's an aspect that is not about willing to go out of our comfort zone or to see the other person's side when it comes to mercurial things. So we can want to control how the other person eats, orders food, gets dressed, goes about the daily details of their life. And so we need to pull our head out of each other's butts with this particular square and start minding your own business, because this can be really, really difficult to live with. And usually this one can present such day-to-day issues that the two people can end up feeling like they just absolutely hate each other, because there may be other things that are really good between us, and you better hope that there are with this particular square. But it does mean that we are willing to try to win when it comes to every little thing. Is that loving? Is it loving? Is it loving to try to win in a relationship? Love is about giving. It is about giving something away. And so when we have this particular square, we get into a habit of expecting or wanting or thinking that we should have a lot more say over the day-to-day, the habits of the other person, how they do things, how they talk, how they think. We can get into the habit of relating to each other like this. And so it actually doesn't mean that you're not compatible. That's the tricky thing with this particular square. You can be highly, highly compatible and have this in your chart. What it actually means is that we've got to pull our egos out of the daily relating to each other and pull our egos out of the communication, because there can be a lot of nasty things that are said. We can unleash on each other verbally with this particular square, and sometimes physically too. You have to see what else is going on and what are the natal personalities about. This one doesn't in itself talk about physical abuse, but it can help add up to that, because it can lead to people to really go off the deep end. So it's important to learn how to pick our battles when we have the square, because we don't want to be on the battlefield all the time, because we typically end up in the therapist's office with this square. This one's pretty common because of the feeling of, we just can't seem to get along when it comes to these details here, but we have this otherwise good thing going on. What is the problem here? Why can't we seem to get it together? And we've got to learn to get the egos out of the equation and let the other person go about the details of their day-to-day and the details of their lives, however they're going to do it. And it's going to be annoying, because that's just the way that you strike each other, but it doesn't mean that it has to be something that gets us hot under the collar and we become reactive towards. Because Mercury and Mars are both very quick to react. These are not measured energies. And so there is a certain immaturity that can come out in a relationship as a result of having the squares. So we need to change that, and we need to get the good things out of the square, which means a lot of communication, heat in our communication, passionate communication, the ability to enliven each other, so we get verbal diarrhea between us and we sit up talking all night long, and we can have these 24-hour conversations that can really build intimacy because we're mentally connecting. So there are great things that can come as a result of the square, but we've got to get the egos out of it so we don't end up fighting in the sandbox. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. Yes, I do private consultation. I'm mainly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts. And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and other social media at Truth in Aspect Astrology. And I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye.